If you were a human-killing machine that fell in love with a human, what would you do? You would have to endure lots of torture and experimenting, running away from your research facility, and even create a split personality just so you could be close to him. But would you be able to protect him when the evil scientist is coming looking for you? Today I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the evil Diclonius in Elfen Lied. This naked girl here has no idea that she is about to lose her memories. Lucy here is a human mutant with superpowers. She probably should have taken Professor X on his offer. Anyways, Lucy decides that she has had enough of the experiments being done on her, so despite being locked up in this super secret facility with some sort of Magneto type helmet locking out her powers, she still manages to kill this poor guard and pick up the keys. She unlocks her helmets and walks out like a real boss. But the evil scientists aren't going to let her just go like that, no! So the security starts shooting at her, but she's so badass that the bullets just keep bouncing off. As she gets closer, each batch of shooters, they all die mysteriously. When Lucy gets to a large door, she uses the lever to open it, thinking she is finally free. But as the door swings open, there's another batch of shooters lined up and waiting for her. And in their midst is this dude in glasses named Kurama. And Lucy isn't going to let anyone get in her way. But before she can step out, this random klutz of a secretary falls right in front of her. She's Kurama's assistant, and Kurama begs Lucy not to kill her, but before his words can land, his assistant's head flies right off. Therefore, of course, Kurama gets angry and orders the guards to shoot her down, but they don't have any better luck than the shooters before them. Lucy kills them all after using Kurama's secretary as a meat shield, and then calmly walks past poor traumatized Kurama. And mysteriously, a door opens, leading her out of the facility, and without a second's thought, she walks through the door. Kurama asks for a sniper and gives him a special kind of rifle that is capable of killing Lucy. He warns the sniper to not make any mistakes because there won't be a second chance. But he has no idea this shot will set up Lucy for a crazy adventure. The sniper misses his shot, are you freaking kidding me? And the bullet only grazes her face slightly, forcing her into the water. Okay, this is crazy and borderline scary. The ease with which Lucy just destroyed everything makes me think, maybe we could just let her go? Like, is this really worth losing my life over? Honestly. But if we had to kill her, Kurama here seemed to have a gun that was really special with special bullets that could kill Lucy. But instead of getting them handy and training more guards on how to use it, and maybe give a whole bunch of them those special bullets, he didn't do that. No, he gives it to just one person, a sniper. Makes me wonder if he really wanted those guards to live and go back to their families. Anyway, if I were in Kurama's shoes, I would have researched guns that can kill Lucy effectively. Once I find them, I'm gonna put out an ad for trained killers who are skilled at using those kinds of guns. Or if they're not really skilled, just train them up myself. Doing this kind of research comes with a lot of black site funding, so money's not gonna be a problem. I'm also gonna make sure those skilled killers are on every floor. And as soon as the alarm goes off for a state of emergency, I'm getting all those guards to go to where Lucy is, use the special kill weapons, and blast her to bits. She's gonna die, stay dead, and heck, saves me a lot of problems. But why? Why only give one guy a special bullet that can kill her? No, don't do that. Make duplicates. Duh. Meanwhile, this cute-looking girl goes to the train station to wait for a dude named Koda. When she doesn't find him there, she uses her psychological stalker powers to figure out where else he can be, even if it has been 80 years since they last saw each other. Her guess is correct, and she finds him walking up the stairs. Her name is Yuka, and she's his cousin. But now that they're both going to college, she decides to meet up and hang out. Yuka leads Koda to a beach because he loved playing there when they were younger. Koda and Yuka are stuck in memory lane thinking about Koda's younger sister, Kane, when Lucy shows up nude at the waterfront. And Yuka's like, what the frick, and gives Lucy Koda's shirt to wear. But as soon as Koda sees the horns on her head, he has a flashback of a very dark memory. He can't quite remember what it is, but he soon will. Lucy doesn't know who she is anymore, and she can only say one word, new. Although she probably just swam the entire ocean, she is still bleeding from the head, and Yuka decides they should take Lucy to Koda's place because she doesn't understand what they're saying, and it wouldn't be safe to leave her all on her own. Yuka takes Koda to her family's inn where he'll be staying, and tells him that he's not going to pay rent because nothing's really truly free. He has to clean all the 10 rooms in the house and the garden, even though he's only staying in one room. New has a water leak accident on the floor, and after Koda cleans it up, they share rice balls like a family. Meanwhile, back in the lab, the scientist is trying to figure out how the frick Lucy could have escaped, but Kurama thinks that hunting down Lucy is more important than finding out how she escaped. Therefore, he calls in the SAT. Think SWAT, but without the W. Later, this super shooter named Bando says he's tired of killing immobile targets and says he wants real-life people that can bleed when shot. That's when his supervisor informs him they've been contracted to hunt down Lucy and shoot her dead on sight. Back at home, though, Koda shows New his precious seashell from his dead sister, Connie. But she takes it and breaks it, and that makes him really mad, obviously, so he chases her away from the house. Yuka decides to go search for her because she believes that New was trying to look out for Koda. But what they didn't know is that Bando and his team are on their way. way, and Bando is a little too trigger-happy to wait for the plane to land. But his superior warns him to be careful because Lucy is actually dangerous. Bando can't wait for the plane to land, so he opens the door and lets himself out. Meanwhile, despite the rain, Yu goes to the seashore to find a new shell, because she feels it would make Kota happy. Two cops stop by Kota's place and show him a picture of Lucy, and they say she's a missing person. But Kota goes, nah, I don't know who she is. Good move, bro. As soon as they leave, he decides to go search for her by himself. Bando and his colleagues search for Lucy along the waterfront, but somehow, through the power of plot armor, Kota manages to get to her before them. And just when they're about to leave, Bando shows up and shoves his gun in Kota's face. Kota tries to run away with Miu, but Bando doesn't let them. He knocks Kota out and points his gun at Miu, but he doesn't shoot because he wants her to put up a proper fight. Oh, that's a big mistake. Oh, he's not gonna live to survive this one, right? We can see this happen so many times in action movies. You have a bad guy, you have a target. So why do you have a clean shot at the target and decide not to take it? Bando here has the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to kill Lucy. But no, it has to be fair. After being briefed by my superiors that they don't know what Lucy's true powers are, I will look at this mission as a race against time. We're not here to learn whatever her powers are. We know she's a killer, so we're here to kill her. With that in mind, I would focus all my attention on finding her, snuffing her lights out. So let's say I spot her from a distance. I'm gonna stay hidden, maintain my safe spot. Bando has already proven that he's a perfect assassin. He can hit any target without hitting any hostage, if he so chooses. So I would view Kota as a hostage and shoot the living daylights out of Lucy's head. Shoot first and explain later to Kota if I'm feeling generous. That way we're certain that we're safe and we're not being harmed by some strange unidentified killing objects. But Bando likes to live on the edge and be like all the other action movie stars, so he misses his chance to end this thing in one straight hit, and this could be one of the shortest anime ever written. But no, the story goes on. Yuka goes to report Niu's missing case with the police, but at the last moment she figures out where Niu could be, so she goes, haha, never mind, bye, and excuses herself. But she doesn't know that the police are also searching for Niu. Yuka heads down the beach too, but then she finds Kota in pain, but Niu is nowhere to be found. She calls an ambulance and sends him to the hospital. What they don't know is that their cute friend Niu is about to have a face-off with a dangerous killer. Bando knocks his colleague out and asks Niu to duel him. He thinks he can win against her in a fight. Idiot. But instead of fighting, Niu runs away. What? Bando gets angry and hits her head with his weapon before telling his partner to go and kill her off because he's lost interest in her. But in the split second that he looks away, his partner's guts spill all over the place. Yeah, good old Lucy's back in the driver's seat. Bando shoots at her, but his bullets bounce off of her. Idiot. Then we see 4 invisible hands that fly out of Lucy and attack Bando. But because he can sense bloodlust, he evades them at the last second and figures out what Lucy's powers is. But the fight he wanted to enjoy ends super quick because Lucy picks up his dead partner's gun. As soon as she overpowers him, he breaks his hands and blinds his eye. However, as soon as she opens her hands, she sees the item that brought her to the shore, and Yu comes out to play again. So poor Bando gets to live another day as a blind, armless man. Meanwhile, the little girl and her dog hear the sound of gunshots coming from the beach, and instead of running away like a sane child would, and a dog would, they decide to go find out what's going on. Idiots. She uses Kota's umbrella and gives Bando some first aid before calling an ambulance to take him away. Kota wakes up in the hospital, but the police interrogate him a bunch, and this time he gives a fake description of Niu, and they leave him alone. When he gets home, Niu is already waiting for him. She opens her hand and gives him a seashell, identical to the one she broke. On her way home, Yuka remembers their childhood and what Kota said to her. If I didn't know any better, I would say she has a crush on her cousin Kota. But Yuka realizes that she has a key to Kota's apartment, so she goes to return it. But when she gets there, she finds Kota taking off Niu's panties. This is awkward. Back at the lab, Kurama decides that if the SAT team is not strong enough to take Lucy down, it's time to fight fire with fire. So he sends in another Lucy. Great. 2 nuclear bombs going head-to-head. Awesome. Yuka ignores Kota and Niu's weird position, drops the key and goes, bye, walks away. But then she suddenly asks Kota if he remembers the festival they attended as kids. When he says he doesn't, she gives him the kind of slap you get if you forgot to take out the groceries. Then she starts crying and runs away, leaving our boy wondering what the F just happened. In the lab, Kurama meets the number 7 girl with horns just like Lucy, and she calls him Papa, and she's chained to a wall because she's, well, covered in blood. And he calls her Nana and tells her there's a job that she must do for him. Nana has been the subject of experiments ever since she was born. But because she used Kurama as her safe spot, she calls him Papa. Kurama asks her to kill Lucy, but she tells him that unlike other violent members of her kind, she can't kill anyone. Kurama calls them Diclonius and tells her that if she can't kill her, she should just use telepathy and locate her and leave the rest to him. Yuka remembers the festival she attended with Kota and how he taught her to carve out animals from cards. Back home, Kota isn't as badass as we thought because our boy is down here battling cold for his life. Yu tries to help, but she doesn't understand Kota, and she doesn't bring him water till his temperature gets very high. Luckily, Yuka shows up in time and takes care of Kota, and Kota apologizes for Yuka for not remembering remembering much about the festival. But when he says his father died in an accident and his sister got sick, Yuka starts crying again because in her version of events, his father and sister took the same train home with him after the festival, and we are soon going to find out why Kota can't remember what really happened. Meanwhile, Bando has been treated by Kurama, but to fully save his life, Kurama says he has to give up his family jewels, if you catch my drift. Oh no. Bando refuses and finally asks a question that has been probably everybody's minds. What are these crazy horned demon monster things? Kurama gives us the nerd explanation, which is basically they're mutants, the next stage in human evolution. But if they continue to grow, they would destroy the entire human race because they're violent. Great. So we have apocalypse on our hands. Amazing. And get this, the reason they want to kill Lucy is because she can create more of her kind once you come into contact with her. So if you touch her, she'd infect you with the vector of her kind, and whenever you give birth, you would give birth to more of her. Kota wakes up and Yuka breaks the news to him. She doesn't want him doing any lewd stuff to Niu, so she's moving into the building. But what they don't know is that Kurama has sent Nana out to hunt Lucy down. Niu joins Kota in his cleaning exercise, but when his hand brushes against her boobs, she asks for some more of that. Of course, Yuka walks in on them, and guess who's on the receiving end of another slap? Yeah, our boy! The girl who found Bando at the beach shows up at Kota's house to return the umbrella she found. But Kota isn't interested in the umbrella. Instead, he wants to find out more about the soldier that attacked him, so he lets the girl in. While they discuss, Niu tries to do some cleaning, but in the process, she slips and hits her head on the ground, and that's when you-know-who takes over. And as soon as Lucy comes out, she's about to go on another killing spree, but surprisingly, she sees Kota's crying face as a child, and it stops her from killing him. Angrily, she walks out of the house, and the girl that returned the umbrella introduces herself as Mayu-chan. But when Kota asks for her address, she pauses, then runs away. Darn, I guess Kota can't have all the girls after all. But when she gets out, her dog's rope is cut, and her dog is missing. She has no idea that Lucy looked in her dog's direction. As for what happened, your guess is as good as mine. Luckily, later, though, the dog returns to its owner, so maybe Lucy isn't such a cold-hearted killer. After all, with both of them all alone, Yuka finally asks what's really on her mind. If Kota has ever considered playing with her own melons instead of Niu's own. Lucy heads down the road and waits for Nana to show up, and Nana asks Lucy to follow her back, but Lucy warns Nana to not follow her. Lucy promises to kill her if she does, but Nana is only thinking about her father's praise, so she tries to talk no jutsu. But before she can say anything reasonable, Lucy uses her invisible hands to flog Nana on the wall, and Nana stands up despite bleeding. She lands an attack so shocking to Lucy that it sends her flying all the way to a graveyard. Ooh my. Their dance continues and Lucy realizes something strange. Nana's invisible hands are longer than hers. Back home, Yuka throws a tantrum because she's jealous that Kota is always talking about Yu-chan. She punches him in the face and goes for a walk. Ah, jealousy. On the road, she thinks long and hard about how she's been waiting for him, but then she realizes that Kota is the one that got hurt all those years ago, so she knows she should act better. But can she? Probably not. Lucy and Nana continue their high-pitched battle, but Nana tries to boast about how many times she could have killed Lucy if she were a killer. But that bragging comes back to bite her because Lucy starts throwing gravestones at her. Hoo-hoo, apologies to all the dead people whose graves those were. Oh well. Just when Nana's about to brag again, Lucy gets up behind her and slams her with all the debris that she's lifted up. Meanwhile, Mayu goes to get some food from a store, and when the store owner asks how old she is, Mayu says she will be 14 tomorrow. But when she turns around to leave, she runs into Yuka. However, instead of talking nicely to Yuka, she turns around and runs away with her dog. While running, she runs into Lucy and Nana fighting. Nana grabs Lucy's leg but hesitates to tear it off, but when she sees Mayu running towards their fight scene, Nana tries to stop her. And that split second where she looks away was all that Lucy needed. She uses her invisible hands to grab Nana's leg and tears them apart. Mayu screams, and that's when Lucy notices her. But instead of killing her, she simply throws her far away from their fight scene using her invisible hands. Nana tries to put on a brave face, but Lucy cuts off her 2 arms and legs. You know, I feel bad for Nana, but in this situation, yeah, like you kind of walked into this one, girl. She didn't ask her papa Kurama to learn anything whatsoever about Lucy. All she knows is that Lucy was a Diclonius, like her. She didn't ask if she was someone that talk no jutsu would work on. We would have asked to know what to expect. From the moment Kurama contacted her about the job, she should have asked for all sorts of details. The fact that he told her to kill someone should have given her an idea about the kind of person she was going to face. In that regard, we should have researched ways to immobilize her without killing her. And also, I'd probably blame Nana for what she's going through. The minute she told Kurama that she won't be able to kill him, he advises her to only locate Lucy. That's it. But Nana decides to go challenge a brutal killer when that is not in her DNA. Like, if I wanted to impress Kurama, I'm gonna come up with maybe different scenarios and different lines of action that would help me overpower and immobilize Lucy. Because I know I'm not a killer, but maybe I can immobilize her. I can keep her trapped and pull a reverse card and maybe, I don't know, cut off her hands and legs. Not kill her. I know we're splitting hairs here, but hey, you gotta jump through whatever mental hurdles you need to in order to get the job done. And it seems like Nana wasn't able to do that. Just when Lucy is about to finish her off, a bullet slightly misses her, and turns out Kurama has been around for maybe a while. When Nana sees him, she uses her invisible hand to grab Lucy, and as soon as she does it, Lucy can't bring out her invisible hands. I wonder why you didn't do that since the beginning. Kurama, as usual, walks past Lucy like a boss and goes to comfort Nana. When Lucy asks why Nana calls Kurama Papa, Kurama disregards his life and gives her a proper parental slap. The SAT team tries to rush in to help him, but no one knows that Lucy can't use her invisible hands. But before they can get to her, she uses the gravestones like a ladder and runs away. Yuka learns that Mayu is homeless, but before she can find Mayu, she runs into Niu. Because the invisible hands couldn't come out, Lucy has gone into sleep. Yuka bandages Niu's wounds, but Kota is worried back at home because nobody's back, and he heads down to the hospital to respond to a call thinking it was Niu, but instead he finds Mayu. Someone has found her unconscious and brought her to the hospital. After signing as a relative, he takes her back home with him. When they arrive, Mayu sees Niu and immediately recognizes her as the girl from the afternoon fight. But when she sees how dang cute Niu's face is, she decides that she probably was imagining everything that she saw in the afternoon. They share a dinner and Yuka guides Mayu and Niu to the bath before going back to meet Kota. She explains that Mayu is homeless, but Kota thinks it'll be a bad idea to take her to the police, and he tells Yuka about everything he experienced from the soldiers and the police, and Niu shows up butt naked again. Gosh darn it, Niu, what are you doing? And interrupts their conversation, so Yuka takes her to the bath, and then Yuka tells Mayu to stay the night with them. Back in his research facility, Kurama meets with his director general, but the director tells him to kill Nana, the only Diclonius that he has a close connection to. So as Kurama leaves, the director's son, a researcher, calls to ask for more research money. After he hangs up, he's happy that the director hasn't found Lucy yet. He needs her for his own research. Kurama heads down to where Nana is lying on a table and injects a substance into her. Before she closes her eyes, she tells him goodbye. Mayu leaves an apology and appreciation note before disappearing from Kota's home. When Kota reads the note, he suggests to Yuka that they should adopt her, but because the process would be too long, he decides against it. Niu finds that the old wall clock isn't working and starts toying with it, but what we don't know is that this clock will become very, very important to Niu. Kota and Yuka head out to search for Mayu because they figured that she wouldn't want to go home since she ran away from the place. We get to see a bit of Miyu's past, and as it turns out, it really sucks. Poor Miyu-chan was the target of serious child abuse by her foster DAD. When she tried to report to her mother beat her up instead, and one day she got tired of everything and decided to run away. She planned on kicking her own bucket at sea, but her dog stopped her just in the nick of time. He was a stray too, and they became best friends. Aww. But as Miyu comes out of memory lane, this random stranger walks up to her and calls her dog James. Turns out James is not a stray, he only got lost. His owner is mean and tells Miyu that she's too dirty to associate with James, so she should never come close to him again. As Miyu watches her only companion leave, tears grow in her eyes and she's so freaking sad. Cry me a river. I don't care. Some cops find Miyu where she's hiding, but as she tries to run away from them, she runs into Kota, Yuka, and Niu, who come out searching for her despite the rain. He tells the cops that she is his relative, and so they leave him be. They take Miyu home and tell her that she can stay as long as she likes. Then they throw a mini birthday bash for her, which is so dang cute it makes her cry all over again. And the next day, her dog leaves his real owner and finds his way back to Miyu. I have no idea where college students get their money, but Kota and Niu get Miyu enrolled in school. Wow, they are really self-sufficient. And she becomes a lot more cheerful than usual. He even managed to find her real mother and officially adopt her without involving the authorities. Her mother doesn't want her, so the process is stress-free for them. But jealous little Yuka-chan makes Kota promise not to have any other girls over again. They head to school and decide to not leave Niu alone at home, so they take her with them. They have no idea they're about to get in a whole lot of trouble doing that. They should have just left her. Anyways, when they get to school, their lecturer is a weirdo that asks questions out of the blue. When he asks a question, Niu raises her hand, but as soon as the lecturer sees her, he suspends the rest of the class and tells Kota and Yuka to come with him and bring Niu with them. He explains that he is her father's brother, and he's been searching for her because Kota is not her family. He decides to leave her with a strange professor despite Niu's complaints. After he leaves, Kota and Yuka go to his favorite place to console themselves because the professor promised not to tell the police. Back at the lab, Kota's big mistake is revealed. The twisted professor stripped Niu naked. He's the researcher that called his father for more money and to find information on Lucy's whereabouts. He sedates her because he wants to use Niu for his experiments. When Kota and Yuka get home, they tell Miyu all that has happened, but she says that the story is fishy and Kota agrees and decides to go alone to confront the professor. Great plan. Because back at the lab, the weird professor is facing his own shock. Although Niu is asleep, her other personality, Lucy, is wide awake. And the professor finally answers the questions we've been wondering about since episode 1. He says he's the one that helped Lucy escape from her confined area, and he tries to swoon her over to his side side, and even shows her that he has horns just like her. But instead of accepting him, she chops off his head. Whoa. Bando receives robotic hands and eyes in exchange for his family's jewels, but before the doctors can harvest the jewels, he knocks the poor doctor out and escapes through the window. Coda heads to school and runs into the weird professor's assistant. They go down to the professor's lab in the basement together, and she tells Coda that he's been played. The professor doesn't have any siblings, but when they arrive, instead of finding the professor, they find his bloody, headless body in a corner, and the poor assistant ends up barfing. As Coda sees the blood, it triggers another memory, a bloody one, and now I'm wondering what has really happened to this poor guy. When Coda gets home, he tries to explain the situation to Yuka, but the blood memory in his head is too strong, and he leaves her and goes to sleep. But elsewhere, more trouble is brewing. The director has received the news that his son, the weird professor, is dead, and surprisingly, he's not the least bit moved because to him, the research is more important. He tells Kurama to continue with the search for Lucy, and Kurama's assistant asks about his own family, but that's when he tells her that he killed his daughter with his hands because she was a mutant, and the shock killed his wife. The next day, Coda and Yuka decided to go search for Niu again, but while searching it starts raining, so they take shelter in a shrine. And Yuka's cold, so our smooth criminal, Coda lets her sit on his lap to help chase the cold away. What the frick? And of course it's raining, so mood music, love is in the air, and is perfect for a Lannister moment between cousins. When Yuka asks Coda if she likes her, he says yes, and she finally kisses him like she's been planning to do all this while. And he cleans her tears and returns with a kiss of his own, and after the rain stops, they decide to head out and search some more. And they have no idea that someone's been watching them. Yep, it's none other than our very own Lucy's son! Meanwhile, on her way to school, Mayu runs into Bando. When she goes to talk to him, he realizes she saved his life, so he gives her his contact and tells her to call him if she ever needs saving. But then things get weird when he realizes that she knows Niu is target, and he forgets his promise and attacks her. But Mayu is a smart girl, and she uses the number he gave her to strong-arm him into leaving her alone, and angrily walks off and tells her not to cross his path again. Coda catches up with Lucy and tries to tell her to follow them back home. Instead, she uses her invisible hand and pushes Yuka away, because just like Yuka, Lucy is a jealous lover. But when Coda tells her that her home is with him, she says she doesn't have any right to follow him home because she did something horrible to him 8 years ago. As she talks, Coda has a flashback to a deeply buried bloody memory, but before he can make sense of it, Niu wakes up and Lucy goes to sleep. Anyway, this nice ride pops open and Nana gets out with a pre-recorded message for Kurama. He tells her to run away and stay safe till he comes and find her because he's grown soft. He couldn't kill her despite his orders. She walks for a while and she runs into trigger-happy, bloody-hungry Bando. Bando shoots at Nana with a gun that can kill mutants, but it's the weight of the bullet that really surprises her. She wonders why Bando is picking on her because she only wants to obey her father's instructions, but then Bando breaks the news to her. She's a killing machine who's only been kept alive because she's a test subject. The news is so shocking to Nana that it splits her personality into two. She decides that if the world won't accept her, then she'll destroy the world. She tags Bando, although he's shooting at her, and despite how accurate they said he was, he can't hit her. Yuka and Mayu work in the kitchen while Coda and Niu play around the house. Mayu wonders if she should tell them that someone is hunting Niu because she doesn't understand what is going on, but she decides to keep her mouth shut. Crazy Nana almost kills Bando, but he pulls out a hidden gun and shoots her. His metal arm pays the price for the shot, but when he tells her that Lucy spoiled his arm, they realize they have the same enemy, and Nana's crazy side fades away and they decide to work together to destroy Lucy once and for all. She informs Bando that she can sense when Lucy is close by, and that's what gets him to finally agree to work with her. But in the lab, trouble is brewing because the Director General knows that Kurama disobeyed him by letting Nana live. He promises to make Kurama pay for disobeying him, but what is he going to do? Something really twisted. Anyway, Kurama, for all his genius as a scientist, ignored one very important fact. He didn't teach Nana how to use money. Despite having probably over 100,000 yen, Nana is about starving to death because she doesn't realize that she can get food with the money in her bag. Mayu's dog leads her to where Nana is hiding, and get this, because she doesn't know what money is, she's starving to death while using her money as fuel for fire. Oh my gosh. Mayu sees Nana's leg fall out, but when Nana reattaches it like it's nothing, it makes Mayu faint. When she wakes up, Nana asks Mayu to become her friend because she has always been alone in her institution. Mayu agrees and tells Nana to not burn any more of her hard cash, and Mayu decides to take Nana home to see Lucy because she is worried about Lucy, but they arrive just as Coda is about to start searching for Mayu, and when he sees another horned mutant like Niu, he loses all his senses and starts shaking profusely while asking who she is. But then he recovers and uses the oldest bait known to mankind: food. He invites her to come and eat, and since no one says no to food, Nana gets lured into Coda's home with food, but as soon as Nana sets her eyes on Niu, all hell breaks loose and she jumps at her and attacks her with a solid hit. Luckily for Nana and everyone in the house, Lucy doesn't come out to play. Coda slaps Nana for attacking cute little old Niu, and this makes her feel bad because she knows that Niu is really a killer named Lucy. Nana throws a tantrum like a child and runs away, away, but Mayu goes after her and the duo sit together to talk about why Nana attacked Niu, but Nana says Niu is extremely dangerous and Mayu wants to figure out why. Yeah, they talk. The Director General sends for his son's assistant, remember her, the cute lady that discovered weird Professor's headless body? She takes the head to the Director General, but instead of saying thank you, this twisted man pulls out a gun and shoots her, because he doesn't want info about his research to be released. Our poor scientist falls down thinking about how she's going to die a virgin, but the Director General is more concerned about knowing who else was with her in the lab where his son died. She can't remember Koda's name, but she tells the director that the boy there was looking for a girl. Near the gravesite, Nana explains who Niu really is to Mayu, but Mayu finds it hard to believe because Niu is so nice. Nana decides to give her a practical demonstration and shows her just how dangerous their abilities are. Despite what she sees, Mayu claims that Niu is too loving to be the same person. Nana even admits that she can't sense Lucy's presence around Niu. While they discuss, Lucy wakes up back at home, but she's running a fever. As soon as she wakes up, Nana senses her presence, but as usual, things are not looking very promising. The Director General is aware that Kurama helped Nana escape, and he says that she can be dealt with later, but he set his eyes on Lucy, so he tells Kurama to release another more dangerous Diclonius called number 35. Back home, Lucy is unaware that a true killer is coming for her, not a softie like Nana. She gets up to go after Nana, but she's too weak, so Koda forces her back into bed, and as soon as she closes her eyes, we take a trip down memory lane back to her childhood, because she was born with horns and was a very sickly child, and Lucy didn't enjoy any love from her parents or the children around her. Her classmates were always bullying her and making fun of her, but it all changed when she found this cute little puppy, and Lucy took the puppy as her own child and made it her reason for living, except until her classmates found out about the dog, and they decided she wasn't worthy, so they did what normal kids would do. They snatched her dog and beat it to death with a stone while she watched. Jeez, what kind of kids those were. They're like monsters. When Lucy realized the dog was dead, the switch flipped in her head, and the killer Lucy was born. We could say she was a monster made by her own monster classmates. After killing all her classmates, she takes out her stray dog to bury it, and that's when she hears a nice melody playing. She turns around and meets Koda for the first time. Yes, folks, Koda and Lucy apparently met when he was a child. Koda tells her how he thinks her horns are cute, and it makes her blush. She also likes the song playing from his music box, but when he asks her to be his friend, she walks away. Lucy doesn't trust humans because her first human friend betrayed her and told the bullies about her pet dog, but Koda's a determined guy. He tells her that he'll be waiting for her in the same spot the next day. Lucy goes on a killing spree before the next day because she's tasted blood and she wants more, but when it's time for their meeting, Lucy puts her killer self behind and shows up for the love of Koda. Just when she thinks he's not going to show up, especially with the rain, our boy pops up out of nowhere and explains that he's late because he had to sneak out of the house. Everyone has heard the rumors about the crazy killer Lucy, but Koda can't be bothered because he's in love. What the frick? He's already kissed his cousin. Boy, he is headed for tragedy. They spend some time together despite the rain, and he gives Lucy a head warmer to hide her horns because it causes her so much pain. After Koda leaves, Lucy's killer instincts returns and she kills an entire family just because she heard someone laughing. Yeah, but trust me, you haven't seen the worst of it. After 3 days, Koda shows up to their hangout spot and says they should spend the whole day together because he's leaving the next day, so they hang out all day and Lucy goes to the zoo for the first time and has a lot of fun seeing the giant animals. And while they hang out, Lucy gets lost in her thoughts when Koda reminds her that he's leaving in the evening, and that's when she hears herself say that she needs to find someone to kill again. She realizes that she's become a murderer, and she meets her second personality for the first time. Koda snaps her back to reality and they head to the stream and play with the water. But when they're done, they both have to get naked for their clothes to get dried out in the sun because that's obviously what you have to do, and she thanks Koda for the fun they've had together. Lucy wants to join Koda for the festival he's attending, but he tells her that he's going with his cousin, and Lucy gets dragged into her thoughts again, and her second personality tells her to kill him because she doesn't want to feel the pain of knowing that he's with another girl. Jeez, she's nuts. She ends up choking him and almost strangles him to death, but at the last minute, she hears his voice and stops holding his neck. Then she makes him promise to kill her if she ever kills anyone. Koda, my man, you have missed way too many red flags, and this is gonna end badly. Look, I'm happy Koda sees everyone as human beings and even treats the horned Lucy like another random person. Great, cool, you meet a nice chick that washed up on his streets, but her actions are clearly telling us that something's wrong with her. She talks to herself all the time, pauses mid-statements, even forgets what she's talking about, and I don't know about Koda, but if I were in his shoes, I would report the case to my father or someone I would trust to get medical attention for her, and just let the government take her, because this is a whole bunch of crazy juju that I don't want to deal with. These are all signs that this girl is either crazy, depressed, or psychotic. And no, Koda doesn't have to be a doctor to figure this out. Simple research or even a Google will tell you this. Look, the first thing that I would do would be to get some safe distance. I'm not about to be on the receiving end of a psychotic killer's cravings. And that's not all. She's also using words that are older than her. One 9 to 10-year-old talks about killing. It's not the first time during their short one day together that the subject of death has come up. If Koda has any sense of danger, he should be wary of Lucy. This little girl literally just zoned out while pressing his neck. If that were me, I would say thank you for accepting accepting to be my friend. It was fun while it lasted, but I can't have any friends that are gonna choke me to death, and as soon as we get off the bus and separate, I'm losing our number or any form of contact we've ever had for good. When they get off the train, Lucy thanks Kota for taking her on the most fun date ever, but when Lucy asks if his cousin is a guy or girl, he says it's a guy. What? This one statement would change everything forever. Lucy promises to meet Kota at the station to say goodbye, but when she arrives at the festival, she sees Kota hugging a young girl, which of course is none other than Yuka-chan. Lucy gets depressed and gives in to her killer personality desires. The killer in her comes out and goes on a killing spree at the festival, and unbeknownst to her, a little girl is hiding behind one of the shops watching her as she kills. The little girl turns out to be Kota's younger sister, but when she tells Kota and her parents that a little girl with horns was killing people, Kota doesn't believe it. And just then, Lucy wakes up in reality because she can sense Nana outside and she steps out to talk with her. Lucy and Nana start their next battle royale, but Mayu isn't having any of it. She jumps in between them and stops them from fighting, although she gets hurt in the process, and Mayu uses words that triggers Lucy's other personality, and so Nyu-chan returns. Kota and Yuka run out of the house to find out the cause of the commotion, but that's when Nyu confesses that she likes Kota. They all head back inside and Nana joins them for dinner. Although Kota is skeptical because she attacked Nyu when she first saw her, Mayu speaks for her and Kota allows her to stay over. While they are enjoying their sweet family dinner, Kurama is getting ready to release the true killer. But as he sits in his lab, his mind goes back to how it all began. How the late weird professor roped him into strange research on the mutants. According to the weird professor, the Diclonius are the enemy of humanity. But for Kurama, after seeing the torture that the little girls are put through, he didn't want to have anything to do with the research anymore. One day, one of the test subjects escaped from the testing lab and almost killed Kurama, but she said something strange about thanking him. And just then, the weird professor showed up and killed the Diclonius. Kurama didn't figure out what she meant until his wife gave birth. Before she did, he was in charge of killing newborn Dicloni. But to his surprise, his wife gave birth to another one of the mutants. His wife begs him to let his daughter live, and it's only then that he realizes why the other girl thanked him. By coming close to him, she had infected him with the mutant gene. So no matter how far he ran, his children would always be Dicloni. While still thinking about how to kill his newborn daughter, his wife dies from blood loss. Poor Kurama is so sad as he buries himself in research, but he does it to save the life of his daughter. As his mind comes back to reality, two researchers head down to the sector where number 35 is kept. And although the doors are still locked, her invisible hands are all over the place, and they're much more than Lucy's or Nana's. One of the researchers says number 35 is a loose cannon, and she kills everything that steps into her line of sight, and they are about to let loose her on Lucy. To get number 35 to cooperate, they bring this cute-looking researcher in. She has been in charge of number 35 since it was a child, and number 35 even thinks the researcher is her mother. Well, so she thinks. Meanwhile, the female researcher adds a nice piece of information. They have another way to make number 35 cooperate, an explosive that was planted in her when she was still a baby. If she doesn't do what they say, they'd kill her immediately. As soon as they open the confines for number 35, it does exactly what you'd expect. She blows up fake mom in a split second, and number 35 is about to go on her own killing spree with her vectors, but one of her hands suddenly explodes because one of the scientists managed to get to the kill switch in time. They warn her to cooperate or the rest of her body will follow suit. She quiets down. Going back to Nyu, she spends her day fiddling with the old alarm clock in the house. She's determined to fix it by any means necessary. While she's busy, Kota and Yuka finally ask Nana about her relationship with Nyu, but when she refuses to speak, Kota tells her that she can leave the house because she isn't ready to do her part. Fortunately, soft-hearted Yuka is close by, so she tells Mayu to find something Nana can do and give her a task, but Nyu's repair plans fall apart and the clock breaks some more. At the lab, preparations are finally complete because of the explosives. Number 35 has become more obedient, so they're ready to release her on Lucy/Nyu. But when the lady in charge goes to inform Kurama, she finds out that he broke his family picture frame and has disappeared. And this makes everybody wonder, where is he? This time we don't have to wait because he's gone to find Bando. After proposing to fix Bando's spoiled mechanical arm, he asks Bando to kill number 35 when she arrives. Nana is now part of the family and has her own chores, but she's too freaking nosy. She asks about a picture on the wall and Kota says it's his younger sister Kane, but as soon as Nyu sees the picture, she starts crying and tells Kota not to cry, and then she grabs a pair of scissors and runs away, and when they find Nyu, she has cut her hair. She asks Kota and Kane to forgive her, and Kota misinterprets what she is saying and thanks her for her kindness. But guess who is watching from a distance and getting jealous that Kota and Nyu are hugging? Yeah, dear old Yuka. She drops the bag she came in with and runs away, but unbeknownst to them, number 35 has been dispatched and is on her way. As soon as she gets in range, Nana senses the presence of the evil number 35 because her aura is so much more sinister, and Nana instantly becomes afraid. Nana knows what to do, so she runs away from the house to keep them safe. But while Yuka is sulking over not being Kota's favorite girlfriend, she finds out that everyone that lives around their area has been evacuated. The SAT and the research group have quarantined the area down because they want to hunt down Lucy. And Mayu tells Kota why Nana left, but as soon as he hears her reason, he proves that he's a real stud and he laces his boots and runs out to save her, but Neo doesn't let him go alone, so she chases after him. And Nana heads down to the bridge where number 35 is, and the rest of the SA team is waiting. She thinks she can take on number 35 on her own, but she quickly realizes that's a mistake. Number 35's hands have a range that is a lot longer than hers. In less than a second, Nana's artificial hands are broken and she's down on the floor bleeding. Number 35 refuses to kill Nana immediately and instead uses her like a toy and flings her up and down. And just when she gets tired of playing around with Nana, our boy shows up like a knight in jeans and a plain shirt and he cuddles Nana. But number 35 already sees him as her new target. Before she can take any actions, her controllers tell her to hold on. But then the scientists have an argument and the guy commands number 35 to kill Nana. Nana manages to push Coda out of the way before getting attacked, but when number 35 comes close to Nana to gloat properly, Nana proves why she's the real badass. In the best use of the gentle fist ever since Neji first used it to block chakra, Nana uses her invisible hands to hit number 35 on the head. It blocks out number 35's invisible hands, and for the first time in her short life, the little girl knows what fear is because the powers that made her feel special are no longer coming out. Things get messy because Neo comes running to Coda, and the female scientist wants to know how our boys managed to befriend two of the most deadly creatures on the planet, but the man is more interested in killing them. Coda grabs Neo and tries to make a run for it before they start shooting at him, and now it's life or death. Would Neo be able to protect Coda from the bullets? As you'd expect, she can't, so she gives the steering to a more capable driver, Lucy. Lucy shows up like a badass and uses Neo's best matrix moves to stop all the bullets before they hit Coda, and the female scientist comes close to Coda to warn him that Neo and Lucy are two different personalities, but she doesn't get her chance to because Lucy kills her for coming too close. But as soon as Coda sees someone explode before his eyes, everything comes back, and Lucy kills everyone on the bridge, and Coda's eyes finally confirm what his mind has been telling him. Lucy was responsible for the death of his family. Coda's memory returns. He relives the experience of the festival from 8 years ago. After they left on the train, they realized they weren't alone on the train. There was one more traveler. Coda and his little sister Kane got into a fight because Kane said she saw a girl with horns kill people at the festival. Coda believed it was impossible, but Lucy was already aboard the train. She calls Coda a liar after remembering all the fun they had together, and she decides it wasn't worth it, so she does what every deranged psychotic killer would do. She kills his family right before his eyes, but when she threatens to go after Yuka, Coda jumps on her and begs her to stop killing people. Dang, this is just sad. Our boy watches his family gets murdered, but as you'd expect, we have no one but Coda to blame for their deaths. Honestly, the law of cause and effect says that for every event there must be a preceding cause. Here's what I mean. If Coda had not seen a random stranger and decided that he had to make her his friend, if Coda had not asked to see her again despite her being mean, if he had not snuck out of his house to go and keep his promise to a total stranger, then his sister, our dear Kane Chuan, and even his father would not have died. I mean, we run into 1,001 people every day, but that doesn't mean we have to make all of them our friends as well. Seriously. But that's not the worst part. The only worst thing is that making a total stranger your friend on the very first day is lying to the stranger. Coda didn't know anything about Lucy. He had no idea she was a psychotic killer, and of course he had no idea that she had the hots for him. There was absolutely no reason to lie. If I found a person that was always alone, a friend who had never been to the zoo before, I would be sure to be careful about what I say around them, because stalkers are real. And by telling that simple white lie, Coda sent a cause of motion that was bound to end in death. Coda confronts Lucy for killing his family and she doesn't deny it, but just when he's about to find the truth, Bando shows up and starts shooting at them, and Lucy pushes Coda out of the way and runs away from him to keep him safe, but she promises to explain everything when she has the chance. Nana and Kurama have their reunion, and he saved her while she was falling off the bridge. Meanwhile, Lucy beats the shit out of Bando and leaves him bleeding. Back home, Yuka tells Mayu about Coda's tragic past. The male researcher reports the failure of the operation to the Director General, but the Director gives an even bigger reveal. Number 35 is Kurama's daughter, and she's the perfect bait to lure Kurama back, even if her invisible hands no longer work. But when number 35 senses that Lucy is coming for her, she wills her invisible hands to work. Lucy shows up and they start fighting, but Lucy is surprised by how much stronger and how much more range number 35 has. Although she hits her down, number 35 still has the upper hand. She uses her invisible hands to pull off a Luffy Gatling gun on Lucy, and even breaks Lucy's horns in the process, and when she's done, Lucy passes out. And just when number 35 is about to kill her, Kurama shows up, and they have a father-daughter moment, and he realizes that he can't kill his daughter, so instead of killing her himself, he takes her to a safe spot away from everyone and commands his subordinate to blow them up. Great. So Kurama and his daughter kick their own bucket via explosion, leaving Nana all alone and in tears. The subordinate tries to kill off Nana, but Lucy is watching, saves her. Lucy tells Nana to go and live with Coda in her place. Back at the lab, Director General gives us one more weird twist. He's been wearing a wig and he takes it off to reveal his own horns. Holy frick. Coda and Lucy finally sit down and talk about everything. She's grateful for the days they spent together as children. Although Coda says he can't forgive her for killing his family, he still doesn't want to let her go, and they share a passionate kiss. But then she leaves and Lucy does the most honorable thing and turns herself into the SAT, and they have a swell time shooting at her, and her second horn falls off. Back home, Coda is sad about her leaving, but he's happy to have Yuka, Mayu, and Nana by by his side. Just as they sit down to have breakfast, everyone realizes that the clock Neil was trying to fix is working again. Mayu's dog starts barking in a friendly way as the silhouette of a lady stands at their entrance. And that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you in the next one.